Hi guys, so this video is about how to make a sketchbook. It's about how to stitch together a sketchbook. So I hope you enjoy the video and I hope you learn something from it. You will need a cutting mat, a needle, thread, an awl, a bone folder, a paper trimmer, and for aesthetics, a corner punch. And obviously the main thing you will need, paper! First things first, the size of the sketchbook is dependent on the size of your paper. This means that I will be getting an A6 sketchbook as my result. A6 is half the size of A5 because when you fold the pages together, you will get A6. This specific paper that I'm using is ivory card that I got from the range. I think it's about 160 GSM per sheet, can't be too sure. I used a paper trimmer to make sure all my edges were straight and uniform. What you are currently seeing me doing is that I'm using my bone folder to help me get a really nice crease when I fold the paper in half. A bone folder is not really particularly necessary to make one of these books. It's just a really handy tool that you can use. It also makes my life a lot easier. Bone folders can be cheaply found online. I got mine a couple of years back. They actually make really good stocking stuffers for Christmas. So, hey, a bone folder. The amount of paper you have is actually going to be doubled in your sketchbook because my A5 paper folded in half is going to make A6, which means if there's 10 pages, there is going to now be 20 in A6. Gather all your pages together, making sure that the cover is going to be at the back of the pile of paper. Now, in the middle of the fold, you will actually be making 3 crosses. This is where the holes will go to stitch your sketchbook together. So you make one near the top, one near the bottom, and one in the middle. The next step is to take your awl and to pierce through each of the holes. Now I started with the middle one, as you can see, and you spin it round. And this is why you need the cutting mat underneath, because otherwise you will damage your surface, because you need to pierce all the way through all the pages. This can be pretty difficult and some people might not get it on their first try, but it really depends on how many pages you put in. The thicker the book, the harder it's going to be. So to make it easier on yourself, I would suggest sticking to about 10, maybe 15 at the most. It also depends on the thickness of your paper at the same time. So you do this with all 3 holes. Make sure your needle is threaded for the next step. Thread the needle through the middle hole, from the inside of the sketchbook to outside the sketchbook. If you flip the sketchbook over to where the thread is actually coming out of now, this should mean that the cover is on the top. Stitch back into the sketchbook from the top hole, pulling the thread through as you go. Make sure that you leave at least a little bit of thread coming out of the middle hole on the inside of the sketchbook where you made your first stitch. Then flip back the sketchbook so the inside is showing. And actually go down to the 3rd hole and make a stitch in there. So it's a big long stitch from the 1st hole to the 3rd hole. Turning the sketchbook over so you can actually see the needle coming back out, you are now to stitch back into the sketchbook through the middle hole where you made your first stitch. You pull the stitch tightly and then you tie around the big long stitch that you made using the little bit of excess that you left in the first place on the inside of the sketchbook. Taking scissors, you cut off the excess thread that comes out of the knot. The next step is actually optional. It's more for the looks than for functionality. So what I did was I took every single page and I punched the corner out of them. Even on the cover, I did this. These sketchbooks are actually going to be for a contest that I'm going to be hosting. I don't know when I'll get the announcement video up. Hopefully before Christmas I will get it up and running. I also have a few other videos in store over the Christmas period. I kind of want to do some collaborations, so I have 2 collaborations on the way, and also my scrawler box. I've got my November scrawler box, and that will be a video in its own time. The last part of my video is actually the speed paint of all of the sketchbooks that I made. I made 3 in total. So because there's going to be 3 winners of my contest, I decided to do 3 of them. And they're for my 3 boys, Jalal, Reese and Rocco. I thought it'd be a really cool opportunity to actually make a tutorial out of this video. I didn't really want to just do a speed paint, I wanted to do a tutorial, but tutorials take longer to edit and they also take longer to just do in general, because you have to pre-plan all of the things that you have to do it in order. Oh, it's just it's a little bit stressful, let's just say. And this has been in the works for God knows how long. I've been wanting to do this kind of video ever since I learned how to do this back in my first year of uni, in my first semester. So it was about a year ago I actually learned how to do this, so I'm only now just getting round to it. But I really do hope this helps you, and currently the design I went for was, I wanted to focus more so on the boys. I was going to do a back cover design of it, but I decided against it. And also somebody suggested in my live stream chat when I was doing this, they wanted me to do watercolor galaxies, or a tutorial to do with watercolor galaxies, and I thought this would be really cool to actually just do a watercolor galaxy on it, because I don't really think a tutorial is very much needed for a watercolor galaxy, because it can be random. No result is ever going to be the same, and that is exactly how watercolor galaxies react. Especially with these sketchbooks, none of the galaxies are exactly the same. So you can now see me going on to Rocco's sketchbook. Now with the characters themselves, I actually just redesigned them just a little bit. I actually changed up a couple of things about the boys because I felt like they were way too similar. It felt like I was drawing exactly the same guy every time in the beginning stages of the drawing, and I didn't want that to feel like a constant thing. So I decided to change up the hair a little bit, maybe like mute some of the colours, and basically just refresh their design, not fully change them, so they don't deserve a video for the fact that I've changed them so much, but I've changed them to a point where they are very still recognisable as the original characters that they were back in 2015. And oh my god, I have improved so much since 2015, because I actually compared the brand new sketches that I did of the boys that I'm making for my announcement video with the old sketches that I did back in 2015 for the introductory videos, and they are so different. Just the style has evolved and my anatomy and everything has just become better. I cannot tell you how different it looked, and it's scary. So yes, that's all I have to say. I will actually see you guys in my next video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you actually found the tutorial useful. So yeah, bye guys.